Hi, and welcome to a brand new series on the channel, Wrestling Matches You Should Have Seen. And well, we're going to give you matches that you should have seen during this series. And the beauty is you get to do a watch along with us. Of course, you could be doing it live, or you could be watching this at some point in the future. And of course, we'll be going through the entire match from start to finish. The first match of this series, actually voted by our subscribers, is Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in the, well, as Non-Stop Wrestling Chat would always say, the beautiful blue steel cage, of course, from 1994, the WWF Championship match as well on that show. And, well, this evening we were going to have Barry with us, but unfortunately he wasn't able to be with us until the last minute. So we've got NXSteve with us, who was originally always going to be with us. So as Will Smith once said, it's just the two of us. But how are you doing, Steve? Are you looking forward to this one?
Dude, seriously, man, what are these corny lines about, man? I love them, but still, they get worse every time I'm on one, man. But I love it. No, I'm good, man. I'm psyched. This is the first time I've ever done one of these, so I'm really looking forward to it.
What I'm going to say is we can make it if we try. But yeah, literally, they will get, for anyone that's watching, they probably will get worse each and every time. And but just as I say, just go for a bit of the background. We're going to give it a few minutes as well, and then we'll press play. But as you can see on the bottom of the screen, the timestamp is there. And obviously, when we press play, we'll keep a note as well of when we started, obviously, the match on the video. So that way, anyone that does jump in later, we can tell you what you need to do. But you can see there, 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 21 seconds is the chapter on the WWE Network or Peacock, depending on how you like to watch and where you are located in the world for this steel cage match. But first off, NXSteve, what were your thoughts then when this match was selected for the first ever one of this series?
Super gassed. Like, Bret versus Owen has always been like one of the greatest rivalries, and especially with it being like a sibling rivalry, like so excited to see it again. Like I was saying to you a couple of weeks ago when obviously the options were on the table that I was always much more of much more of an Owen Hart fan than a Bret fan, because my brother, like, who got me into wrestling, was the Bret Hart fan. So inevitably, you know, brothers always fight. So he was the Bret guy, I was the Owen guy. So yeah, man, psyched about it.
I like it. So you're gonna get like some memories coming back from that. It's gonna have like a personal touch for you, this match.
Well, like I said, it's been a really long time since I've seen it, so I'm psyched to see it again. Like I remember it being an awesome match, and like I said, it's just going to be full of nostalgia for me to remember it and watch it all again. And like I said, I'm super excited to watch it.
Absolutely. Just to give a little bit of background for everybody that obviously isn't aware of this, because obviously this is nearly 30 years ago. Not feeling old at all when I mentioned that comment, but still. So this kind of basically begun at the Survivor Series in 1993. So we had the Hart family going in the Survivor Series match against Shawn Michaels and the Knights. Of course, it was originally meant to be Jerry the King Lawler and the Knights, because Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler had the big feud in 1993. But of course, Shawn took the place. So basically, there was a miscommunication during the match, and Owen Hart got eliminated, and the rest of the Harts won that with a clean sweep. So Owen Hart blamed Bret Hart with that miscommunication in the match, but it was the reason for his elimination. Of course, and then he challenged Bret Hart to a match after the Survivor Series, and Bret said no, he would never fight his brother, tried to get things back on side. They actually went for the Tag Team Championships at the Royal Rumble in 1994 against the Quebecers. This is how far we're going back. And of course, for those watching today, PCO is still going. The Quebecers did actually retain the championship because of the fact that Bret Hart hurt his leg. And of course, there was I believe it was a referee stoppage with that as well. Owen Hart again taking the blame on Bret Hart for not winning this match, frustrated once again, actually kicking Bret Hart's leg as well before leaving the ring. And that sets up beautifully for the WrestleMania match, of course, that they had at WrestleMania 10, the opener in Madison Square Garden, one of the best openers in WrestleMania history as well. Hopefully we get to do that here one day as well. But of course, Owen Hart winning that match as well against Bret Hart, of course. And that led then on to the King of the Ring, which of course, Bret Hart had won the first one, or the inaugural pay-per-view version, in 1993. Owen Hart winning the 1994 version. And on the same show, Bret Hart was cost a match against Diesel via Jim the Anvil Neidhart. It was supposed to have Bret Hitman Hart's back, but actually having the back of Owen Hart, making sure that Owen went all the way to win King of the Ring. So that's pretty much the build. Obviously, this feud does continue all the way later into 1994 and into 1995 also. But this obviously is where we're going to base it off with the steel cage match. And of course, before this match does start, there's a lot of the Hart family in and around in attendance. Stu Hart, at ringside being interviewed. We see other Harts being interviewed. British Bulldog is in attendance as well. Of course, he had actually had the match at 1992 SummerSlam where Bret the Hitman Hart had left for WCW through 1993. This was kind of like his comeback to WWE. Of course, him and Owen would actually be tag team champions in 95. So it goes to show how quickly this can go along. But yeah, for me, this ticks a lot of the boxes of what the build was like for this. And yeah, for me, I'm very excited for this one. But NXT, is there anything you'd like to say before we get going and press play for everybody?
No, man, let's get into it. I'm a super guest.
Absolutely. Well, just before we do, we'll give a shout out to Mr. Ed Fries in-house. Says, hey, this is my second favorite match from SummerSlam ever. So good to see that we've got some nostalgia fans in-house. Ed, hope you're looking forward to watching this along with us as well. Like I say, anyone that is watching, feel free. You can get involved in the comments section. Give us your memories of the feud, anything like that. We do appreciate it. But like we said, the timestamp is 1:36:21. We're going to do a countdown for you now, and we're going to press play together. So on the count of 3, 2, 1. So without further ado, we have started here at the 6-minute mark of the video. Exactly 6 minutes exactly is there for us. So feel free to join in. As you can see, if we look right now, we've got the beautiful blue steel cage is set up and ready. So while we're actually waiting for Bret and Owen to make their way to the ring, my first question to you is, looking at this steel structure, what are your thoughts of the blue steel cage?
I always loved the whole blue steel cage. Do you know what I mean? I had the toy as a kid, and it was always just one of them things that, do you know what I mean? It's just at the time, because there wasn't a lot of stipulation matches back in like '94. Do you know what I mean? So whenever we got something like a cage match or a ladder match, it just felt a lot more special. But just the aesthetic of it just looks so '90s, and it's just so good to remember.
Absolutely. I feel exactly the same. A lot of my favorite cage matches actually are with the blue steel cage match. Another one I'll give a special shout out to is actually Mankind versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley from 1997, which was the opener, I believe, of that SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken. But as we can see here now, Owen Hart is on his way to the ring. Of course, the King of Hearts at this point. He was the Rocket Owen Hart when this rivalry started, but once he won King of the Ring, of course, he became the King of Hearts. But we mentioned there, obviously, you said there the love for the blue steel cage and the nostalgia factor. And like I said, I was the same, had the toy structure. It was so beautiful to have as a child. Obviously, it's a bit different these days. We've got like the mesh instead with the steel cage. What do you prefer? If you had to pick one or the other, this blue steel cage now or the steel cage that we have today?
I've always been a much bigger fan of the blue steel cage. I just think, like, for the whole dynamic of trying to escape the cage, the idea of the blue one just made more sense. I think the mesh one is, like, although they cut holes into it so people can climb it, I just think aesthetically the blue one just looks a lot better. I mean, for starters, looking at it, it's a hell of a lot smaller than what we get for steel cages now. Like, this thing is probably only about, what, 8, 9, 10 foot tall, whereas the steel cages nowadays are probably 15, 16, even anything up to 20 feet tall now. So even looking at it, it's just a hell of a lot smaller than what I remember.
Absolutely. And you know, it's something I was thinking the exact same there when I looked at it. I was like, God, that's short. You know, it made me feel like what's happened.
Owen's not the biggest guy.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, it's a bit of a difference, isn't it? There. I mean, obviously, I feel the same as you. I do actually prefer the blue steel cage, but the thing is, like you say, the way that things are done today. Obviously, the top of the cage is different as well. Obviously, there's an area people can stand a lot easier on the top of the cage if they want to do dives off in the modern day of wrestling. So I guess it's a much more safer structure, if you will, today. But obviously, Bret the Hitman Hart is making his way to the ring. Obviously, I've got the subtitles on as well because obviously copyright. The what an ovation there. Obviously, the crowd massively into Bret the Hitman Hart coming here to ringside right now. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to watch this back over. And for those that are just tuning in as well, we started this 6 minutes exactly on the stream. So obviously you can see the timestamp below on the WWE Network or Peacock, depending on where you are. We're at 1:39:30 at the time of this now, if you are joining us. But yeah, we'll go through a couple of comments just while we see everyone coming to the ring. We've got a shout out to Bareback Audit saying hi, hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking us out. Hope you're keeping well. C Nation is on vacation. C Nation, thank you for tuning in even while you're on vacation. Enjoy that time. Enjoy the vacation, my friend, wherever you are. And yeah, check in with us at a later time if you want to. Ed Fry says, God, I miss the blue steel cage. It feels like that. I mean, the thing is, I suppose for fans like us, it's a part of the childhood, isn't it? It's what you grew up with.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting nostalgia flashbacks here of Bret giving the glasses to a fan. Well, in this case, a baby. So yeah, sorry. What was the question again, man? Because I was completely just like taken away by it.
Well, actually, to go and comment on that, obviously, I feel the same there. I mean, obviously, I remember I was at a house show in '94, and I was like a little bit further away, and was hoping I'd get those Bret Hart sunglasses, and it never quite materialized. As Owen
It's
Hart
always the
jumps
dream,
on,
man.
it is always the dream. Owen Hart's made the jump, by the way, for those unaware, that straight at the start of the steel cage, getting the attack and offense in quite early on. But the question I asked there was the fact of Ed saying missing the blue steel cage. Obviously, for me, looking at that there, it's a nostalgia thing for a lot of us fans that I suppose are more old school, if you will.
Yeah, it's definitely, it just shows your age really when it comes to pro wrestling. If you are a fan of the old blue steel cage, but just even that, if you think about it now, like when guys like used to try and escape from this cage, and how they used to milk it is, it's such an impressive feat now, because again, it's not that much bigger than the actual guys in the ring. So it's
Mm.
just it's a credit to them really for how they used to milk it back in the day.
Absolutely. And it's a great actual point you make there, because obviously a lot of steel cages these days have referees in there. I don't see a referee in there with these two. It seems to be quite simply escape from the cage, it almost feels to a degree here. But obviously we'll continue to see how this match will play out. Bret Hart on the offense there, actually hitting a clothesline there. Obviously looking at the ring attire as well, their classic Bret Hart there, obviously with the pink and black attack. Owen with the same as well, but more of the singlet, where Bret Hart also has the long bottoms on as well there. It's just so much fun to see, where we were. I mean, this is nearly 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, just when did he get his Slammy Awards? Because I remember at one point he starts walking around with the two Slammy Awards as
Of
well. That was
course,
part of his
yeah.
aesthetic.
I think that
That's
was
been
94. I feel that would have been the end of the end of that calendar year. I could
that's
be
right, because
wrong
they
in
used to
saying
do
that.
them at the end of the year, didn't they? Which made sense.
Absolutely. Airwolf in the house. Airwolf, thank you for checking this out. Hope you are keeping well. And C Nation, anyone that wants an update on his vacation, it's been fun. We're glad to hear it, C Nation, because I'm tired of being walking all day, and now it's time to sit back and watch the GOAT, Steve. Thank you very much, C Nation, and hope that you're enjoying the match so far. If you're watching it as well, have you seen it before? Let us know in the comments as Bret Hart lands a DDT in the ring there. I mean, these two are just so technically sound, aren't they? Just even from the off here, you can see with these two, it's just there's not a foot put wrong, is there?
No, I mean, this is the one thing I really miss about Owen. Like, I remember as a kid earlier, just as we look at Bret and Owen's parents just looking on, like, you can tell that Stu's just obviously, he's like, nah, you need to go out to the dungeon, have some training on that. That's not how you do that punch properly. That's what all I can tell that he's thinking. But yeah, when Owen passed away, it would, like, I remember reading, like, my dad showing me the newspaper about it, and I was like, man, it was the first time it sort of something like that actually like really hit hard, because you kind of like, especially like you don't expect these. It's the same, like almost like how we see film actors pass away now. Owen Hart for me was the first kind of, if you will, celebrity that I paid interest in, that I see pass away, man. So I'm so glad we get to watch this, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, everyone seems to remember where they were when that incident happened. I remember hearing about it in school the next day, and you couldn't really believe it. Really, what you were hearing at the time. There's Owen actually does go to climb the cage now at this point. Bret actually pulling on the leg there, making sure that Owen will come back into the match. But you mentioned Stu Hart there, going on to the parents there just a moment ago in the crowd. I like that shot's there, because obviously, yes, we've got a great technical masterclass in the ring with these two athletes right now, but at the same time, there is storyline narrative being driven all the way through this match, and obviously, it's a great note there just to put that there. And I could just see the wince there of the side suplex there to bring Owen Hart back into the ring there. Bret looks like he could be. Is he going for the door at this point? We'll have to wait and see. Bret could be going for the door. A famous thing always in the cage matches back in the old school. Bret, yeah, he's holding on, trying to get out the door. Owen holding on to the leg at this particular moment. Will he be able to bring him back into the ring? It looks like he's going to. Bret making his way back to his feet, although Owen has one of them up with a shot to the leg. Do you reckon that it would be a nice bit of storyline narrative here? Owen perhaps going for the legs there for the second, especially after we've seen or mentioned about the earlier in the year with the 1994 Royal Rumble. Of course, Bret would have healed long by then, but just of that continuity of the storyline.
Yeah, you think so. You think someone like Owen Hart would especially go do that. I mean, Owen's already been selling some sort of a knee injury already from some of the damage that he's already taken. as we watch Bret just do a running bulldog from out the corner. He's going back for that exit again. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't use the door anymore as a escape attempt for getting out of the ring. It seems to be
Absolutely.
like it's more pinfall or escaping over the top. Like the door, I feel, is just so underutilized now as we see Bret almost climb out of it halfway through.
I love the fact that we've had 3 or 4
It's
attempts
crazy.
now. It's crazy. The speed and the pace these two are leaping, giving everything here. It's almost like watching the Olympic long jump, to be brutally honest here. And I mean, Owen's actually now trying to use the steps to give himself a bit of leverage, but it's not quite working. Bret pulling on the hair at this moment. We've got a close-up camera shot here with Owen Hart as well at this point. Oh, literally being pulled back as well. That's almost like a camel clutch, if you will, with the rope there.
Against that bottom rope as well. Exactly, man.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
some of
Beautiful
the stuff, like you don't realize how early that they were doing some of this stuff that we see today, like submissions with the ropes and stuff. Even though for how small it is, being a camel clutch, it's still the fact that it's being done, and it's not something you expect for this time period. Like, especially with how evolved wrestling has become nowadays, like you don't realize how early they did some of this stuff.
Absolutely. And the thing is as well, like, I mean, we've been treated so well so far because obviously a lot of the wrestling around the time at this period obviously wasn't always I'm calling this nicely when I say this, but wasn't always the best to watch. It wasn't always the most eye-pleasing, if you will. But so far, it feels like not a move has been put wrong between these two. Bret Hart looking to try and climb over the cage once again now. Owen having hold here as Bret's feet are on the top ropes. It looks like we could get almost like a gorilla press slam there, throwing Bret back into the ring there. Beautifully done indeed there. Of course, Bret going back first there to the canvas. We'll go into the comments once again, and Owen's looking to get his way back to his feet. Airwolf asking the question here, how often are we doing this show? This is the premiere. This is a first time we're doing this. So pretty much, if we're being honest, it's a guinea pig. What right now? We are testing the waters, seeing the interest. If this is something that our subscribers want, perhaps even first-time viewers want as well, we will look to try and do more of these as Owen is looking to go over the cage once again. Now, he's actually gone all the way at this point, but Bret has managed to capture him. Yeah, I mean, Bret hopefully will be able to pull him back into the ring. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. Fingers crossed this will become a regular feature on the channel. And hopefully, if that is the case, then we'll be doing them to start off with monthly. Maybe they could be even more frequently. But again, it comes down to the interest of you, the viewer. That's where we'd say from this point onwards. Nation's actually seen clips of the match from what he's seen is good, but hasn't seen the whole match. Well, I hope you're enjoying it right now. Nation as Bret Hart laying some quite a few in there, but Owen Hart landing some few back there, both high up on the top of the cage here, standing on the top rope, delivering shots here. NXSteve, what are you feeling right now as Bret falls back into the ring?
Again, just a surprise at the height of this cage. Like, these guys are essentially squatting on the top rope, and they're still, like, their heads and shoulders still above the cage. Now, I know nowadays we watch it as Owen does a fantastic drop kick off the top rope there. The guys will stand in the corner, and the cage will still be above them. Do you know what I mean? Lovely kip up there by Owen as well. Just Beautiful. One thing I always love to see is a kip up. And he's taken the most elaborate way of trying to climb up the cage, and he's just dived on the side of it.
Absolutely. In a way, he's over the cage at the moment as well there. The leg over, and the last leg is the only thing that's left in the ring at this point. Bret holding on for dear life, trying to bring Owen back into the ring. Genius here. It's almost desperation you feel from Bret. Pulling on the singlet there.
I'm waiting for a German suplex now or something. Or instead he's going to try and climb over him instead.
He's trying to do it himself. I was hoping for the Russian leg sweep there for a second, but it doesn't seem to be clicking in just yet. Airwolf there with another comment says, I mean, Tom's streams a lot. Yes, spoiler warning. You will find me in the comments there from time to time. Of course, there are other streams that are done on this channel also, but just a shout out to Tom Collier, by the way, does fantastic work on his channel. So, Airwolf, thank you for giving him a shout out. Obviously, the spoiler warning show Mondays and Fridays if anyone wants to go and check it out on his channel. But yeah, for me, it's predictions on this, Q&As, stuff like that. There's usually at least one live stream a week, usually 2 or 3 videos a week in some format on this channel. And LA Knight was the last one that we discussed on the channel. It was a bit of a debate on how LA Knight should be pushed going forward in WWE. But of course, here it's Watch Along City, and of course, Bret and Owen still at the top of the cage here, still on the top rope. And yeah, I mean, oh goodness. Do you know what? The cage there really moved when Bret actually sort of threw Owen there back first into the cage for that moment there. You really see the cage move. You don't really see that sort of movement these days. The first, it doesn't give this much in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly, this blue cage is done it's like 8 segments. So it's the four sections. It's 4 sections, or 2 sections either side, and then they're clamped in the middle. And it's like, pretty sure like today's modern one is lowered from the ceiling. But this one is like the guys literally just lift it in place and clamp it together. So it does have a lot more swing, if you like, when it comes to being used like that. As Bret does a great back body drop on Owen there.
Absolutely, indeed. They're both working their way back up once again there. For those that are just actually coming into us, just we're at 1 hour, 50 minutes and approaching 15 seconds into the match. So that way, if you want to keep up to date with us where we are in the match at this point, hopefully at some point as this gets bigger and better, if it can do so, we'll have some timestamps actually coming on the screen the whole way through so you know exactly where we are. But just a collide there between both Bret and Owen. They're both going down, Bret clutching his face. So is Owen as well there. Yeah, amazing stuff. And we've seen shots once again there of Stu there in the crowd there once again. We've seen actually shots of British Bulldog in the crowd through this match as well there. I'm loving the fact that they're bringing the family into this. Jim Neidhart now coming onto the screen as well. Of course, has been an ally of Owen Hart. Obviously not trusted at this point, but you can see that he's rooting as Owen's looking to go and trying to escape the cage once again through the door, but not quite getting there as far as the rope before Bret actually makes a stop there. Although Owen still continues to try and get out, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way that they've done it with this. The fact that you've got Stu and his wife in one section, Bulldogs in another section with his wife, and then Jim Neidhart's in another section. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just adds to that separation in the story angle, like, between these two people.
Absolutely. It always feels like that's where the divides are in the family, which is really nice to see that people are on Bret's side, on Owen's side. You know, it just adds to the layer of storytelling and continuity throughout there. Bret Hart, obviously, at the moment has the slight advantage at the moment, hitting his elbow there, and now looking to make his way up the turnbuckle once again. Now, is he going to be able to escape the cage? We see attempt to escape here on my subtitles. He's definitely going for it. Leg has gone over the cage as well here. Owen trying to stop him there, holding onto the foot there. Classic way of doing it as he climbs to the cage as well. I mean, brilliant stuff here from these two. Really enjoying this match here.
It's just a general masterclass in wrestling. Like, if you think you probably couldn't have picked two better people to do a first match watching, really, if you're going to go old school when you have these two there, because like it's just special. Like we was talking about it like off air before, that if you like the ring chemistry these two have got. As Owen just drags Bret off the top rope when he gets a nasty catch in the back of the leg there. Damn, but yeah, you think the chemistry these two have to put a match together is just unreal. And his Jim Neidhart celebrating.
It's one of those I told you so moments, isn't it? Literally, the door is open once again now. The crawling sound is for those that are kind of more modern fans of wrestling, or certainly in the last 10 years or so. It's kind of like a WWE game, you know, when you kind of like you've done the superplex and then you're trying to crawl your way out. You're smashing the X button as fast as you can. It's kind of that vibe of what we've got going on right now. With Owen trying to get out the cage, Bret seems to have got back over here at this particular moment.
So you look at it, Bret's still selling the back of the leg as well, which is good. Like most people would have just got up and not even bothered, but he's carried on. Like he sold it slightly to still show there is some sort of impact. Now you see a lot of lovely headbutt to the groin there by Bret. Yeah, you see most people now get these injuries, and like 10 seconds later they're fine, but you know that should be causing bruising.
Absolutely. The thing is the fact they continue to actually sell it on throughout the match as well. Then you mentioned that spot just a minute ago there. The fact that the way it's delivered and sold, absolute perfection, the way that it's done there. C Nation, I will look to try and do a Q&A again very, very soon for you on the channel. I can guarantee you there will be one next Wednesday week. I've got the fantastic Ella J will be coming back on the channel as well for a SummerSlam special, which of course will be a busy week for SummerSlam predictions as well, which I know NXSteve, you'll be joining me on Thursday, August the 3rd for that as well. So yeah, that's another reason why a SummerSlam classic here. And of course, it's in the period of SummerSlam while we are recording. So I mean, Bret Hart,
you were kind enough to delay it by 2 days because of my wedding anniversary. So I appreciate that.
Anytime. Well, I mean, I could have done it a day earlier, but then that's my wedding anniversary. So yeah, it's a busy period for us coming up at the moment.
We'll get about the
Go on.
Lovely. As you say, it's a lovely coincidence that we both got our wedding anniversaries out of the way in the same week.
You couldn't make it up, could you? There, Bret Hart, by the way, missing an elbow drop from the second rope. That's what led to the reaction from us there. Again, it just felt like he literally just went for it perfectly. It was kind of like you jump in the pool and the water wasn't there.
You mean the fact that they've tried it? I've already lost count of how many times they've attempted to escape already. Like, the fact that they're going for it straight away. Like most times you see a steel cage match nowadays, as Owen's trying to escape now, it's normally like you get like 10 minutes worth of wrestling before we get an attempt. With this, we had like 30 seconds, and these guys were already trying to escape. How
Yeah,
did
absolutely.
how did we come back to getting a WWF title match anyway? Because I didn't actually see none on the build up. What was the whole stipulation? As we've got Bret hanging Owen off the side of the cage, that's gonna hurt.
That is painful indeed. I think it just, I mean, for me, I haven't gone through that detail of watching every Monday Night Raw on the build of this, unfortunately, for everyone that's watching there. But what I can say is obviously the tradition of winning King of the Ring, I believe it started from 94 anyways, is that it led to a championship
Right,
match going afterwards. If you go to 95,
gotcha.
King Mabel getting the shot at Diesel. Thankfully, we're not doing that, people. So you've been spared with that one. Yeah, so there has been occasions with that. Although 96 Stone Cold Steve Austin did win King of the Ring and didn't get a title match, but it felt like it was something that was going on for a good couple of years nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Owen Hart here has proved himself that he is the King of Hearts. Obviously, he's always said he's been better than Bret. It's been a real jealousy storyline here between these two here with Owen Hart, obviously wanting to be the better of the Hearts.
So yeah, just to add to the moment there, we just had Owen do a almost like an angle slam, recovering from Bret's almost near fall. So just the way that they managed to make up for the slight botch there and style it out, it was just so impressive in itself.
Absolutely, indeed. There was Owens looking to make his way back to his feet now. Owen Hart, perhaps once again, going to go and climb the cage, like you say there. British Bulldog screaming out there for Bret Hart to get back onto his feet.
What is that hairstyle about, man? Is that just something 90s related? Because that hairstyle is atrocious on Davey Boy.
It stays as well. Remember the Allied Powers with Lex Luger? Those two, that Barnet lasted for a while. We can see more Hearts there at ringside. There was Jim Neidhart there also being in the shot there. I like that as well. There, I forget the name of this particular Hart with Jim Neidhart, but obviously there is the clash of one for Bret, one for Owen. It is kind of like animosity in the crowd as well. There really adds that friction, that tenseness around there. Unbelievable.
That cage is so so just bouncy. Like the cage don't do that no more. Like this, Brett's just thrown Owen into the cage, and that is just rattled backwards and forwards. Like clearly put 6 inches of gap between the bottom of the cage and the ring apron.
Absolutely, indeed. There, Bret Hart looking to try up again. Owen's a bit wobbly.
He's trying to escape for like the 30th time now.
Absolutely. But you made a great point about this earlier on, because in modern steel cage matches, obviously, it kind of feels like, again, I'm going to compare it to like a WWE game. Like if you play the game, you know you're not going to like knock someone down and get out the cage. That's not how it works. But it feels like that approach has been taken by superstars. They feel like, well, it's not going to be enough. So they don't go for to escape the cage route so often. But I suppose nowadays you have the pinfall element, the submission element. It's all very different to how it was here. Where here it's all about escaping the cage there. Wow, a side suplex there from the cage there. Owen Hart delivering to Bret Hart. That's a brutal looking spot there. Again, done so well with these two.
Again, just compliments to the pair of them, man. Like this is stuff that isn't being done in '94. Like you're not seeing people do side suplexes off the literal middle of the middle rope. So again, just like I remember used to watching cage matches. It'd just be a case of it was almost just a normal wrestling match back in the '90s. But these two are just such a masterclass. It's unreal. Oh,
Absolutely.
Here we go. A move that we don't see at all in WWE anymore. Can he get it off? Oh, that power driver looked nasty.
You don't see them in the modern day, do you? You do not see them at all. There, Owen Hart delivering a pile driver to Bret the Hitman Hart, and all I can say is, it looked brutal. But to be fair, growing up was one of my favorite moves in wrestling, and it always felt like a finishing move for me.
Yeah, well, it should be a finishing move, but yeah, I think wasn't it? This is obviously then led on to things, because wasn't it Owen that ended up giving Steve Austin his concussion by doing a pile driver as well?
Yeah, I think Austin broke his neck as well. That was at SummerSlam 1997 as well at the time there, which is where Austin won the Intercontinental Championship on that show.
Yeah, just a crying shame, man. But yeah, it's like you've just been dropped on your head, and it was a good pile driver as well. Like you could see Matt to head contact, and Bret's already back up trying to stop Owen escaping again.
Absolutely, indeed. There, these two at the top of the cage once again. There, and the thing is, what I like as well, they're not just going, obviously, with the door is in one place, but there's not 4 doors around the ring. It's not a Punjabi prison, but at the same time, they are using all of the ring. There's not a place that's not being used. If there's a chance to escape, wherever they're closest to, they're climbing. Unbelievable there. The way that Owens fell back into the ring.
Owens just landed on the money shot on the top rope as he come down from the top of the cage there. Oh, that was painful.
I know. I think it's a bit too early. I think it was like 95 that the double feature came in because we don't really get the in-match replays, which is a bit of a shame. You'd love to have seen that back again. The crowd are going nuts, by the way, right now. Bret Hart trying to get out the cage there, but Owen making a last-ditch attempt here to try and make the save here.
Every time my phone does that.
I thought it was the Royal Rumble kicking in there. I thought we were going to get number 3 come out. Bret Hart, oh goodness, Bret Hart is actually making a real attempt here to try and kick Owen off here. Looked like he was going to get out for a second, but he's now back on top, landing some rights there. Owen's selling so well as well, by the way. Oh, wow. The excitement, man, literally.
You see, I tell you what, here, there's some guys in the crowd here, like they believe it's real still, damn it. It's unreal,
Absolutely.
man. There's one guy on this hard cam view, he's right in the middle wearing a white shirt. My God, he is, every time Bret is close to escaping, he is up on his, everyone else is seated apart from this one guy. And he's definitely one of them guys that still thinks it's real.
It's still real to me, damn it. When they're trying to get by any means necessary.
It's just like Bret. We've just seen Bret half hanging out. Now we've got Owen doing exactly like. Do you know what I mean? It's 1-for-1 with these two. It's like if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. So, and again, it's something you don't see in '94. You don't see this kind of lovely
slingshot, isn't it? There,
slingshot,
I think is what they call it. Yeah,
so lovely slingshot from Owen to the cage there. Yeah, it's just like you don't see this 1-for-1 in wrestling in '94. So this is like such good stuff to see in '94, man. Like as a kid, do you know what I mean? You're just like, now as a 37-year-old man, I can appreciate a hell of a lot more than I can as what a 9-year-old kid at the time when this was on. Do you know what I mean? As a 9-year-old kid, I just want Owen Hart to win by any means necessary. Like I'm a proper mark at 9 years old. Bret, as he's confused apparently, doesn't know where the door is now going for the door again. Owen with the dive. I always loved it when they did that in a steel cage match. That dive across the ring to grab that foot.
Absolutely, indeed. There, the thing is, like you said there, and you make a really fantastic point a couple of moments ago, by the way, about the idea of almost like the one-upsmanship. It's almost like, it's true sibling rivalry, isn't it? Anything you can do, I can do better. I can one-up what you're doing. It's almost like tick for tack, almost, if you will.
That was always Owen's thing with this feud as well. Like he was always a case of whatever you can do, Bret, I can do better, or I can do it too. Lovely Irish to the corner there.
And Bret Hart always used to sell it like better than anybody. The way that his back would just go into it and just literally crumble down to the ground, like unbelievable.
Almost like there was no turnbuckle pads in the corner. The way Bret takes it, like he just seems
literally.
It looks like he's just hit it still rather than free cushion pads.
Absolutely. I'm going to move this mic over a little bit. I hope you can still see me all perfectly. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, these two are trying to get back to their feet now. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where this is going to go to finish up here. Bret Hart going for a scoop slam. Owen counters. Oh, wow. Going straight into the cage there. And obviously, like when you kind of like, you have the superstar at the back there, you're going to run into the ring ropes, try and do like an old school roll up. Instead, Bret ducks and now we go straight face first into that cage. Honestly, he's lucky he's not needing some dental work after that one, to be honest.
This was the thing about the blue cage as well. It always, like the modern one where it's more mesh than anything, doesn't seem like it would hurt as much as what this one would. So I don't know if they changed it. I know obviously they probably changed it to aesthetically be more appealing, but this one just always seemed like this was a much more hard hitting design. Bret trying to climb that.
Unless it was a Hell in a Cell, obviously when they made it red, that cage was never pleasing for the eye. Bret going over the top once again now.
Owen's just collapsed for no reason, I guess. I know he's back up again.
Pulling on now as well, trying to bring Hart back in because he's nowhere near this time.
The pure desperation, though, is just
hold her hair as
hair
well.
For hair. Go on.
That's going to be a painful landing. Oh, the forearms to the back of the neck there as well from Owen Hart to Bret. Bret is just dangling now. He's back into the ring. It's as safely as landed as possible into the ring there. He's landed on his feet there rather than taking a big dive there. But Irish whip there and loving that spinning heel kick there from Owen Hart onto Bret there. Absolutely sublime there.
It's, again, just such quality, man. Yeah, I can't say it more than I've already said it, really. It's just, I miss Owen Hart so much, man. Like, this guy was, like I said, I was the Owen Hart fan as a kid. And do you know what I mean? Nothing more than the baby brother beating up the big brother, which was essentially my dynamic with my brother. My brother was 6 years older than me, and it was always a case of if I could one up my brother, I would one up my brother. So, but yeah, I was always, let's say, much more excited to see Owen Hart than I was Bret Hart.
I was a massive. I must admit, Bret was one of my favorites growing up from the early start. I mean, I had three favorites at the start. It was Tatanka, believe it or not, with the Native American with the mohawk, because he was undefeated. I used to always enjoy his undefeated streak and stuff with his tomahawks going around the ring. But I mean, Bret Hart was unbelievable with his technical prowess and skill, and I mean, Shawn Michaels as well. I mean, obviously, great generational wrestler as well at the point there, even in 92 when he just broke away from the Rockers. But Owen Hart now looking like he's getting over the cage once again here. I mean, these guys have spent more time in the air than they have actually in the ring, it feels, this match here, the way that they keep going over the cage.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
It's just a constant obstacle course. It's like they're doing drills for the army or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Owen, and again, up and over.
Pulled back in via the hair as well there. And that just feels believable as well.
Owen Hart was always one of them guys that had, like, he's like AJ Styles, just has a great set of hair. Oh, Owen stops it. Bret now elbows him. So someone's going to eat the top of this cage in a minute.
I wonder if both of them will end up on the ground in a couple of seconds. That it feels like one of them spots there. They're both hanging on at this moment there at the cage there with the shots being landed.
That cage wobble is just unreal as well.
It adds to the realism of the match, though. It really gives you that feeling anything could happen.
Bret just collapsing between the ropes and the cage.
He's back at it. Oh, that kick. And Owen's down. That's it. Oh, goodness. What a sell as well, the way Owen landed on the canvas.
Great shot.
Absolutely. Bret, though, looking to climb over for this point. Clearly now has got an advantage. But Owen's quickly back up there. How is he up so quickly? He's managed to get his way down to pull Bret back into the ring. And Bret's all the way down as well. He's got a leg over at the minute, though.
That kick was almost giving me flashbacks of Edge in the Rumble. We know he returned and Roman kicked his hand, and that's how Edge was eliminated.
Yeah, that's very true. Very, very true.
Is this where Owen's going to eat the cage again? No.
Oh, head-to-head clash there between the two.
Oh.
They're both down for the meantime.
It's amazing how we go back and watch it now, knowing what we know about wrestling, and we can see the tips and tricks when it comes to wrestling. Like we know certain things about how they do certain moves, just while they're having them rested. Like you just the way that supposedly we're supposed to have seen them just collide heads, but clearly that's not what happened. I've just seen Owen forearm him in the head, and that's what we're supposed to believe. But it's like as a kid. As a 9-year-old kid, I'm, oh my God, they just headbutted each other. That's amazing. I'm such a mark for this.
Owen's now looking to make his way back to his feet once again now. First one up now. Going to probably go up the turnbuckle, looking to try and climb out the cage once again now. Bret Hart still laying down at this particular moment now as Owen goes up. British Bulldog standing in the crowd now. Really into this one.
It's always the same now. Just as they're literally one of them's about to escape, the other one's just straight back up again. There we go. We're getting a superplex off the top of the cage.
It could be coming. Looks like it could be coming. And there it is for the top rope there on the top of the cage. Owen Hart back in.
Oh, beautiful.
It is. I mean, they literally just land in a heap there, both of them as well. Beautifully done.
It looks so much easier to do with the blue cage as well, just because you can get a better footing. Like, it just looks so much more safer to actually do. But just the impact alone, the protection that they both delivered there was unreal. Like to fall 7-8 foot, land safely, and Bret's the man getting up. Do you know what I mean? It's unreal.
Absolutely.
Just taking a breather. Do you know what I mean? Just like, let's just soak this in for the minute.
I feel they need it at this point. These two have been going for well over 30 minutes at this point. It feels like now this has been a classic
really
as well.
30 minutes already.
It
wow,
feels like it has been. I mean, if we go through when we see the timestamp at the bottom there, we're on 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 24 seconds at this particular moment now. And we started this off at, I believe, 1 hour and 36 minutes. So, I mean, yeah, we're at the 30-minute mark. Obviously, entrance is included at this point, but it is absolutely flown by. Bret now sort of slowly now making his way to the door once again, trying to get out of the cage. Owen stirring as well. Are they going to make it? Is Bret going to be able to just... It feels like Owen's going to get there. Owen has made it. Got hold of the right ankle at the moment of Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret is holding onto the cage, though, trying to pull himself out still. Owen now on his feet now, pulling Bret back in. It feels real desperate now. It feels like, you know, in a horror movie where you see someone clawing on, you really sort of see that in the canvas there. And Owen now going for
the nail marks across the mat.
Pretty much, yeah. And now we see the sharpshooter delivered now from Owen Hart to Bret Hart.
Is there submissions in this match back in '94? I thought it was just pinfall or escape.
But of course, I mean, if Bret goes out from the submission, passes out from the pain, Owen can just get straight out of the cage. So there is that element there. It feels like there is a slight tap from Bret, although they didn't do the tap outs back then. It didn't really come until Ken Shamrock came into WWE. I think it was around 96 at that point. Bret has managed to counter it by getting the ankle of Owen, but he's got hold of it here. Beautiful combination. He's going to actually put it into a sharpshooter of his own.
Not a very common way to see the sharpshooter reversed anymore now either. But yeah, Bret now gets Owen in the sharpshooter. It's just, yeah, the way he got out of it is you never see that way for it to be done anymore. But the way he's reversed it and got it straight back into a sharpshooter, Owen's now calling for someone. He's tapping out. Oh, is that it? Is that the match over?
No submission, it says on the subtitles here for me. So no submission.
Okay.
Bret is looking now to attempt to climb out of the cage at this point now.
Said there if there was submissions, yeah, and that's changed as well because nowadays it's submissions included. So
absolutely.
Oh, Owen just diving for his hair as Bret's halfway over the cage. This is just unreal, man. Like,
both going back into the ring there.
Owen calling for someone though is like I don't know what you're calling for, but then you see him tap, and you're just like, nowadays it's over. Bret's still your champion. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
What's he gonna go for now then? Is he trying to? Why is he taking the longest way to get to the cage, man? By climbing over Bret. I tell you what, the referee mullet as well. Just a proper showpiece of how old this is as well.
Absolutely.
Again, back to the top of the cages where they spent 90% of this match, and now they're both over. Owen on the outside, Bret now on the outside. Oh, Owen's now got his leg trapped in the side of the cage. That cannot work out good for Owen. Do you know what? I genuinely forget how this match ends.
I think we're at the closing stages. Look at Owen Hart there. Oh, goodness. He's upside down, tucked into the cage. Bret then lands on the floor. And the fans are going absolutely wild there. Bret the Hitman Hart there, retaining the WWF Championship. Celebration in amongst the family and the crowd. Jim Neidhart, though, is having none of it. He's straight over the barricade.
He's
attacked the Bulldog. He's attacked the Bulldog. And Bulldog's going over the barricade and not on his own either.
He's taking Bulldog's wife with him, apparently.
He has indeed, yeah. The attack continues down Bret Hart there from Neidhart.
Anvil's choking him out with a t-shirt. One of the guys, unfortunately, you would love to have seen as champion as Owen Hart. It's just a shame, man.
Absolutely. Looking back at the memory, because obviously the match has concluded as the beatdown does continue. Bret is now being thrown back into the cage with Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart also going into the cage. Dave Meltzer, people care about the ratings. Some people do. If you don't, that's fine. It's down to each individual viewer. But Dave Meltzer actually gave this a 5-star rating. Obviously, looking over this now as this match is concluded, I can't help but feel the exact same. This feels like an absolute classic encounter between Bret and Owen.
It's just such a it just stands out from everything else they've done this year, like WWE. You see here Owen taking it, he's beating Bret with his own shoe. Jim Neville's padlocking the chain closed. We've got members of the Hart family just outside trying to get in. As far as Bulldog's not trying to climb it, he is actually trying to climb it on the far side.
There he is. Yeah,
He's
on his
beating
way
him
over.
with a shoe.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes Bulldog. See you later.
And other family members trying to get in as well there, and Owen stopping them. Jim Neidhart now. Everyone trying to climb up, going in. It's honestly so many people trying to get involved.
There's like 7 or 8 of them, isn't there? And the brothers.
It's true family affair. Absolutely, yes. I mean, talk about a way to get your heat back as well at the end of this. And it just shows as well this rivalry at this point isn't over, despite the fact they've gone through at this point, which it would be the end game. A steel cage, you don't go much further back in 1994. I know, obviously, the modern day, we've got Hell in a Cell. We've got other different ways that we can conclude these rivalries off. But this was meant to be the be-all and end-all back then. Obviously, this rivalry continues to, I think, around early 1995, actually. I think Owen Hart is actually the cause of why Bret Hart loses that championship to Bob Backlund later in that year.
Sorry, I'm just paying attention to what's going on in the ring here. It's like, do you know what I think the end of this could have done with? Would have been a Bret showing a bit of blood. I think would have probably worked out perfectly to the end to end this spot here, because they are absolutely destroying them. Like, every single member of the Hart family just cannot get in this ring. Owen is doing his utmost. Who is that? Is that Bulldog still?
That is Bulldog. Bulldog has actually got the best there of Owen. Owen's gone flying into me. So Bulldog's actually about to get into the cage now. It looks like that advantage is about to be stopped. Bret Hart, though, is laying in a heap. Owen Hart quickly climbing over the cage there. Neidhart following as well. Those two look like they're going to escape, as all the Harts now are getting into the cage. Although, is Neidhart's going to be caught there by the Bulldog? Yep. But he's been rescued there by Owen. Owen kicking Bulldog back into the ring.
He just threw a shoe at him.
I think the referee has just done the padlock as well, as because it was actually chained shut as well. The steel cage there. Referee is now getting involved as well. But yeah, that looks to be pretty much it now, as Owen Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart leave the ringside area there. But of course, Bret Hart winning the match. But obviously not winning the war on the night there.
Honestly, Steve, who throws a shoe?
Well, if you hate Zach Gibson, that's what you did back in recent times. But shoes off, you hate Gibson. Temple Plays and Houses, enough is enough. It's time for a change. Even as keep this series going, love it. SummerSlam 92. Bret Hart versus British Bulldog. You know why. We do indeed. That could be one in the future. Temple Plays. Thank you for the love there. And I'm glad that you have enjoyed this episode. For those that have enjoyed it, and please make sure to hit the like button of this video. That way I know that you've actually enjoyed it. Drop a comment as well once we've finished. Also, it'd be good to know your interactions, your thoughts of this match. If you've enjoyed this series as well, would you like to see more in the future? And as well, if you're new watching, subscribe as well. If you're watching on delay, then of course we do appreciate that as well. Then just as before we close off the network from our portion of it, Todd Pennegill, remember him back in the day there, amazing. They're actually trying to get a word there with Owen and Jim Neidhart, who will be explaining their actions there, which I think is quite clear of why they have got involved. Obviously, Owen's not got the job done on the night.
I don't owe you anything.
There you go.
So I'm not going to give you an explanation. But this is good, because this now, the way he's delivered it, is like, I don't owe you an explanation. This is a reason to tune in to the next Monday Night Raw.
It's what you want.
I mean? So unreal.
Absolutely. Owen Hart here is absolutely irate in the mic as well.
And Jim Anvil's got a bone to pick with the Bulldog as well.
Absolutely.
Unreal. Like I said, for 94, as a 9-year-old kid, absolutely blown away by it.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like you said there, I feel like now we appreciate it more now, obviously, when you go back and look at it there. But obviously I've now just stopped the network there at the end of that there. But I mean, obviously there from start to finish of that match there, SummerSlam 1994, obviously clearly the highlight there of that show. Other matches that I do believe that are on that show, Undertaker versus Undertaker, if you can believe that to be a match there. We have Bull Nakano and Landra Bays for the women's title. Diesel and HBK win the tag team titles. Obviously there's also Diesel and Razor Ramon for the IC title on this show as well. So there is quite a host of big time matches on this show, but clearly this is the standout here. And what would be your final thoughts then, thinking of Bret Hart and Owen Hart then, before we wrap things up here today?
Just a masterclass of one-upsmanship, really. Like I said in the middle of the match, it's to see it be a case of like from the story, because I remember the story, and it was kind of like Owen was always disgruntled because it was always Bret, and then to be the case of I can do whatever you can do, and the fact that it played out alongside in the match is just a credit to itself, really, because it's like you don't see that kind of stuff nowadays with. Like I know it's hard to do because there isn't really a lot of sibling rivalries, but I think that's what makes it even special because we get stuff nowadays like Ray and Dom, sort of first ever brother versus brother. Like I know we get Kane versus Undertaker like a couple of years later, but they're not really brothers. But it was just really special for what it was back in the day. Obviously, Bret being like as big as he was. How long after this does he leave WWE? It's about 2 years, isn't it? It's in '96, I think he leaves for WCW. So Bret's in his
97.
97. So yeah, Bret's in his like peak building time now. He's already WWF champion. So yeah, it's like I said, it was just a great match to see. And like I said, watching Owen Hart again is just such a pleasure.
Really is. I mean, obviously, for me to go back and watch this match, this is the first time I've watched this match in at least, I'd say, about 10, maybe even longer, to be fair, years. It's a long time since I've seen it. And I've got to say, I appreciate this match more than what I did previously. And I've got to say, an unbelievable match. I'm not surprised Barry has said that this is his favorite match of all time. You can clearly see all the reasons why. Like you said there, the personal rivalry with the family involvement, the feud there, the fact it's one of the best storylines building. This has been nearly a 9-month feud and build to this point to get here, which will continue even further. And obviously for me, this it just goes to show two of the best there in the ring at that point. Obviously, technical masterclass from both of them from start to finish. The great use of the steel cage as well. There's not a part of that ring that isn't actually used during this match. And I've got to say, the creative spots involved as well for the time period as well. Seeing that the back suplex being used off of the steel cage there, the superplex spot as well.
The superplex as well was always like a rarity. Like from the top rope back in the day as well. Like you was a case of you'd get it once every 6 months, and whereas now it's more of a common thing to get a suplex from the corner. But from say a superplex from the top of a cage, it was always a special sight to see back then.
Absolutely. And I've got to say, I love the finish as well. I think the finish is very creative there with Owen hanging from the cage there at that point. Obviously, the anything you can do, I can do better. But there just was that one mistake, and that one mistake was enough there when both were literally neck and neck there to get out of that cage. And then Bret obviously finding that way to be the one that manages to get to the floor there is brilliant. And I've got to say, shout as well to the fact that the use of the Hart family in attendance as well really played its part into the match as well. Added a different layer, a different part of the narrative to the story. So yeah, for me, it ticks many, many boxes here. And Temple plays with a comment now. This match is all about Owen Hart showing use that he's better than his brother and proving it in a way. The story of this match was amazing. It truly is a masterclass from start to finish. And I've got to say, it's probably one of the longer matches we'll do if we continue to do this series. But I've got to say, what a fun way to kick it off, Steve.
Yeah, like I said, I was shocked by how long it actually went. Like for a 1990s pay-per-view, like 40 minutes plus is a rarity. But like I said, with those two, ideally that's what they needed: 40 minutes, 60 minutes, however long. It was always going to be a killer match.
Absolutely. And I've got to say, it flew by for me. I don't know about for you watching it over.
Yeah,
I felt like
when you said we've already 30 minutes in, I was like, really? It feels like we're about 10 minutes in. And that's what I love about it is like, you can watch some wrestling matches nowadays and it'll only be 6 minutes long, but it feels like it's been going on for 25. But then you watch matches like that are 30 minutes in, but it feels like it's been going on for 10. And it's always, that's how you really get to enjoy your wrestling, is when time absolutely flies by.
absolutely indeed there, and that is the true appreciation there. And obviously I feel we've both really appreciated this. We hope you who's been watching along with us on this, if you have appreciated it, then that's the name of the game of this video. That's what this series is all about. It's for people to go and relive matches that you've seen previously, and for those fans that perhaps are a bit newer to go back and say, let's go and see this match, see what it is all about. Now obviously with this series, for the time being, I want to stick it with classic matches. I want it to be the good, but obviously with wrestling matches that you should have seen, there are some bad ones that you should have seen as well in the collection. So you never know, one day those ones might creep in as well. It might be in its own branch out of a side series to this. We'll have to wait and see how it will play out. Not everything's fully figured out yet with this, but one thing is for sure, if you have enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button. Just a little bit of what is coming up, because obviously this is, if you're watching on delay, this might be your part to take off. If you're watching current time, this is the part that you need to know what is coming up over the next week or so on this channel. Tomorrow, NXT Great American Bash predictions. I will be joined by Juggernaut 097 on the stream. We'll be going through NXT predictions together. As well as that, we've got coming up very, very soon SummerSlam 1998. That will be the SCW rewind of this month as well. So if you like your retro content, more of it coming. Highway to Hell, SummerSlam 1998, which myself and NXSteve will be providing for you. Next week, though, is all about SummerSlam predictions. The special live Q&A will be on Wednesday. Ella J will be the guest. And of course, on Thursday, myself, NXSteve, will be doing SummerSlam predictions. So that will be the podcast format, the live stream for everybody to get involved. But yeah, that's pretty much all the plugs, and that's everything to do there. NXSteve, any final thoughts before we close up the stream today?
Nah, man, like I said, always a pleasure, man. I would do an LA Knight reference, but it doesn't feel like the time appropriate. Like it's a very 90s thing. I feel like I should be kind of like a, oh yeah, brother, instead of a yeah. So yeah, but always a pleasure to be on here, man. And I look forward to being on here next week and doing the 98 review with you as well.
Absolutely. Well, I do appreciate you coming on as always. It's always great to talk professional wrestling for you. And obviously, when it comes to Bret versus Owen, quite literally the best there is, the best there was, and potentially was the best there ever will be. What a great steel cage match. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time.